Hello everyone and welcome back to a new video. Boy, it's been a little while since I recorded one of these, and frankly I wasn't sure if I was ever going to do another one of these. But somebody in my Discord over on the Thunder Pulse Games Discord did post in general that they were looking forward to the next one, and I decided what the heck, let's give it another try. Today we're going to have two separate submissions kind of mushed together. One is going to be a standard TCG submission, and the other is actually an oversized card slash bonus card submission that I had sent off. I sent them, frankly, months apart, but they both returned within the same week or so from CGC, so that was kind of interesting. We've got some Pokemon English, probably some Pokemon Japanese, and also some cards that I can't show you because they are definitely within the 18 plus rating, and we'll talk about that a little bit later. So I do have to check the cards beforehand, and frankly I did already review the grades for these. I kind of just decided that opening these up blind and opening these returns up blind is probably not the best way to do it. And we will kind of get into that a little bit later as well, and I'll talk a little bit about that. But I've been talking for about a minute here, so let's get started with the first one. We're going to start off with this Electrike here. Now, this is interesting. This is an art rare, but this is actually Korean. So, Korean cards, if you didn't know, Korean cards actually have the standard English back. They don't have the Japanese back, but they are not English cards, as you can see. And that is the art rare. This is Heat Wave, which would eventually go on to become the Ho-Oh set, which escapes me right now from Scarlet Violet. So I don't know what that's going for, or if that's worth anything, but that's our first one out of the box right there. Next one, okay, this is also Pokemon. It's either Korean or it is Korean. That is the Yanmega art rare, also from Heat Wave Arena. We'll start stacking these. We've got our first Pristine here, it looks like. That's kind of cool. That is the Wailord art rare. That is from Battle Partners. That's a pretty card. I like that one. So we'll move that into the Pristine stack. So, last time, or how long has it been since we actually recorded a video? I can't remember. And because I can't remember, I don't know what we discussed last time or what we didn't discuss last time. So that kind of puts a wrench in what I want to actually talk about this video. I've got to fill time somehow and talk and look at cards at the same time with you guys. Oh, there's a Gardevoir from Fairy Rise. That's kind of vintage, I suppose. Oh, let's see. Current happenings in the TCG world. Did we discuss PSA buying Beckett? I can't recall if we did. That's kind of interesting in the sense that PSA purchased Beckett, and now out of the 4 major grading companies, I would argue, maybe there's 5 now. I'd argue, 4 or 5 major grading companies. At least 3 of them are owned by Beckett. At least 3 of them are owned by collectors, which just bought Beckett, which is PSA, SGC, and now BGS. So CGC, if you're counting the big 4, is one of the only ones that's not owned by Collectors Universe. Kind of a big deal, in my opinion. We're definitely starting to tread into monopoly territory. We're starting to tread into monopoly territory simply in the sense of, like, all owned by the same parent company. You have scandals popping up from PSA. I don't know if you guys saw that Deoxys that was damaged recently by PSA, the lenticular Deoxys, last sold for $45,000, and they decided that I guess a $20,000 offer would be a fair deal when they crimped and destroyed his lenticular Deoxys. I wouldn't be very cool with that if I were sent my card off to be reslabbed by PSA and they did that. So PSA currently claims that's actually a pretty high profile card right there. That Raichu is very popular in English, not as much in in Japanese probably, but that's still good to see in a 10. Wish it was pristine, but it is what it is. Yeah, I would not be happy with a 50% offer from last sold, especially where PSA has already admitted fault and they know that it was, you know, their fault that the card was damaged. But I don't know. The more I sink into this hobby and the more I, you know, kind of develop brand preference, PSA seems like a bad deal to me. And getting back to the discussion of, you know, are there 4 or 5 major grading companies? I gotta admit, Tag is hanging in there. Tag is definitely, you know, the new kid on the block. Oh, I held that too long. It's the new kid on the block. I like their robo grading or their AI grading in the sense that it's very objective. I like that you get a report that tells you exactly what's wrong with the card, why one card got a grade when another card didn't get the same grade. I think that's very important for transparency. I think that's very important for the hobby. So, Tag might be something you want to look at. There's our first 9. But, yeah, it's just kind of like, if you're a grader, or even if you're not like a grader, but you buy graded cards, like you don't submit, but you buy them in the secondhand market, you got to kind of wonder if you're truly buying the grade or if you're buying the card, right? Because there's also been some questions of like, well, I sent, you know, a massive submission off to PSA and 75% of them came back 9s, but a high-profile person like Logan Paul goes ahead and makes his submission and he gets a 10 on a clearly flawed card. It's got, you know, a white dot, or it's got, you know, whitening in a corner or an edge or something like that. Now, that wasn't crazy for PSA a few years ago. PSA 10s were kind of known as a weak 10 in the hobby. I think they still are, and I think PSA resents that. In turn, you've got these cards that are, you know, coming back 9s. Can you send them off to SGC and get a 10? Can you send them off to CGC and get a 10? CGC, probably a gem mint, and we can kind of talk about that as well. But I don't know. I see CGC get quite a bit of hate, but when we get to the second half of this submission, oh look, there's the Mega Evolution Bulbasaur. I think this came with a booster box. I wish he got a 10. That would have been probably personal collection if he got a 10, but I don't know if I'll bother to hold on to the 9, but I don't know. People kind of clown on CGC, but I think they've got one of the better systems. Ooh, look at that. Pristine Charizard from Shiny Treasure EX. Probably not the most expensive Charizard, but still one that I like to see for sure. Best possible grade. Not really a Charizard collector, but I can't deny that they're popular. I never keep Charizards on the store for long. Squawkabilly. Can't say he holds the same amount of value as Charizard, but he's there. What else has been going on? What else is, Masquerada. Shiny Treasure. What else has been going on in the TCG marketplace? Really, I think that Lenticular Deoxys was kind of the, it's kind of the talk right now. I think Penguin Zero, Charlie might have even made a video on it at this point. Like, I think it's reached, like, beyond the collector and the grading sphere, and I think it's kind of starting to hit mainstream, like, oh, you know what a Pokemon card is? Check out this thing that PSA did, which is not good press. I mean, PSA knows it's not good press, which is why they're like, we're working with the customer to come to a viable solution. It's like, nah. Yeah, of course you are, because, you know, 30,000 people emailed you and told you that you were, you know, basically scumbags. And PSA can get away with that, you know? You gotta wonder if the negative press was worth saving $20,000 from the multi-billion-dollar company. From a business perspective, I would say probably not. 8.5. Ooh, that's our first 8.5. What else do we want to discuss? Well, here's something kind of interesting. These videos in general, and why I record so infrequently. I'm currently coming to you live from my living room right now, believe it or not, on my coffee table. Why am I doing that? Oh boy, here's some Divine Cross. I can show you the back, but I can't show you the front. look for these on eBay, and you'll find out why I can't show you these on YouTube, because I would be probably, very likely, instantaneously banned from YouTube for showing you those. Okay, are these all Divine Cross? Hold on, let me look. Yeah, that's all Divine. Yeah. I'm going through the box. Yeah. Okay, I can't show you any of those. So the rest of that box goes over here. Oh, and we'll open up this second box here and see what's inside here. So the reason I was kind of, I don't know, iffy on ever recording another one of these is probably because they don't get a ton of views. And I'm not one to complain and be like, oh, watch me more. No, don't bother. I'm recording this on a cell phone on a mount that I bought off of Amazon that frankly isn't very good, with terrible lighting and me. So there's no delusions of grandeur here. But the thing is also kind of like, it's kind of inconvenient to record, especially slab openings. You know, you've got these guys with studio lighting and, you know, these impressive setups and everything. These things are reflective. They're like little mirrors. It's kind of a pain in the butt, to be honest with you. Look at TCA Gaming, who, you know, Rusty, who I think is probably one of the most premier people in the hobby. And the setup that he has and the things that he has to go through with, you know, like his worm light he's got up here and, you know, scrolling them across and everything and stuff. I'm like, boy, I wish I even had that, and I don't have that. And then you have the people that are like professional content creators, and we can talk about that all day. I don't think that's a great representation either, because you gotta think about it this way. And this is kind of the reason that we're getting to Weiss Schwarz now. This is kind of the reason that I look at the grades now ahead of time, is because when I get a bad grade on a card, especially a high profile card, I stop and I stare at it. And I noticed in the video, or at least some of the previous videos, I stop and I stare at it and I pore over it, because, guys, I'm not making any money off of content creation, unlike some of these other guys. You know, when I get a bad grade on a card, that's, you know, that's the business side that I care about. No offense to the guys that are out there doing content creation and that sort of thing, but that's where they're making money. Look at, you know, Pat with Deep Pocket Monster and Short Pocket Monster, right? Should I open it or should I keep it sealed? Whether or not he pulls the chase card in that set, or whether or not he pulls the, you know, absolute worst card out of a pack, that's not affecting his bottom line, guys. You know, and that's not to knock him. I like his content and everything. Or, you know, PokeRev, when he has these massive returns from PSA or whatever, and, you know, they throw their hands up and they get all, oh, I can't believe I got a 9, or, oh, how did that get a 6 kind of deal. Guys, it's not breaking them. You know, that's A, the whole darn thing's a tax write-off, and B, the product is not them turning around and selling those cards. The product is not them turning around and, you know, flipping those cards on eBay or secondary marketplace or sending them to auction. The product is the video. They're content creators. I'm not a content creator. I do this, you know, because sometimes it's kind of fun. You know, maybe I do want to try to advertise the store a little bit. Speaking of, look at those. That's about as far as we can push YouTube content, probably. But I want to advertise the cards a little bit. I want to yap. I want to talk about what's going on in the card space, or, you know, what I've got new on the store or whatever. But I'm not getting 1 million views a video and pulling in all that sweet ad revenue. I'm trying to think who it is. I watch him on Instagram sometimes. Coop's Collectible or something like that. Somebody asked him in a live stream, you know, I don't know what he was talking about. I don't remember the pre-context for it, but somebody kind of asked him, like, you know, what about the money that you make from, you know, selling cards? Or what about the money you make from vending? I think he does a lot of vending, like live action, you know, vending stuff and interacting with fans. And he actually like kind of laughed and he snorted and he goes like, yeah, I don't really make money on cards. It's like, yeah, a lot of the times you really don't. This is often not high margin. Inventory sits for a really long time. inventory, you know, people nickel and dime you. And the fees on eBay are insane. The fees on most marketplaces are insane. I found a little bit of success on Mercari. I found a little bit of success trying to sell direct via like Facebook groups and that sort of thing. But really, you wind up selling on eBay inevitably, just because of the size of the audience and the size of the marketplace it is. Can I show this? I don't know. You guys want to take a gamble with me? It doesn't show anything, but maybe we'll have to blur that out a little bit. She got a pristine, though. More Divine Cross. More Divine Cross. Hold on. I'm in another no block. Divine Cross. Lots of Divine Cross. Can't show you any of that. Nope. Let's see. Osaka. Can surely show you this here. Oh, look. It's Dragon Maid. That is the Lukua and Kana second player. So these are not for sale cards. These are kind of interesting. These are kind of like we'll call them promos, I guess. They come almost like a box top or whatever. Wish that graded 10. That would have been nice, but nah. So, not being a content creator. Oh, look, the 8 on the, what is that, Eurocamp? Yeah. That could have gone better, huh? That could have gone better. An 8, huh? Again, I looked at these grades beforehand, but I'm still surprised. But when you're not... More Eurocamp. Got a 9 on that one, I guess. When you're not a content creator, and this matters so much, what your grades come back is, and you're kind of doing mental math, it's kind of distracting. Trying to record a video or trying to, you know, make something happen. We got some Rebirth. Oh, I think I might know where we're at now. Yep, okay, so that's cool. We got a pristine on the Mel from Hololive Rebirth. That is a signature. So that's nice to see. I think there's a little block of signatures here I remember seeing. Just from the order that I sent it out in. Yep, there is a Subaru ReZero signature. Pristine. Watermelon, Hololive Rebirth. Back to Weiss Schwarz. Petra ReZero, pristine 10, but that's Weiss Schwarz. That's pretty cool. I know Petra is probably not the most desirable character out there, but she's all right. I like Petra. It's a Dragon Maid, Dragon rare. That's when Elma fights the bear in the woods. I got a 9. Great, just what I wanted. Here's a pristine. Turning it around, there's an Elma eating some sort of snack, of course. Well, that's Elma. She does that. What else? I'm trying to think. What else do I talk about? There's a Gem Mint 10. That's also Elma. $9.5. Oh, I remember sending this off. I ordered an extra one of these because I own this game. I never opened it. I think the card's still in there. I think it's still in the cellophane case. So I bought this kind of from a Japanese marketplace. I was really hoping to get a 10 on it because I like this. This is what they did for the video game. Burst Forth? Dragon Maid Burst Forth? Something like that? It was the shoot 'em up they did. But nope, 9.5. Does not matter. There's some cards that... Oh, I think I just found one. Speak of the devil. Okay, these are going to be kind of interesting. So these are... 9.5. I think we've got a 10 somewhere in here. But these are Sweets Paradise promotional cards. And these are kind of like a thicker... Almost like a bromide card, I guess you'd call them. They're... does it say bromide on it? It might... Yeah, it does. So they're kind of like a bit thicker than a credit card. You got these as a promotional thing. They did the Sweets Paradise in Japan, and I sent these off, and I wasn't even sure if A, they'd know what they were, or B, if they would grade them. And they did grade them, and they did figure out what they were. So here's the Alulu. She gets a 9, of course. Just my luck. Here is Another Lulu, she gets an 8.5, of course, just my luck. And, let's see here. Here's what I assume is a Lulu number 3. She gets a 9, of course, just my luck. This is not a surprise. I'm just taking you along for the lamenting ride. Like I mentioned, I already looked through these, so I don't spend too much time, crying and poring over them. I got a 10 on the Lukua, on that particular Lukua, and then here, another 10. So Lukua gets 2 10s and a 9.5. Lulu gets 2 9s and an 8.5. And I sent off more. I just could not win. There's a Lukua. She gets a 10. I think they were kind of biased towards Elma and Lukua this time. Lulu got kind of shafted this time around. There's a Kobayashi. I don't know who's buying this. I sent this off because it is a Maid Dragon Rare, but I don't know. Buy it, please. If you're watching it. Maybe you like that, you know? I do like Dragon Maid a lot. I did watch the movie. Well, I guess that's... I hadn't mentioned that. I did watch the movie that came out recently. It was good. I enjoyed it. I think KyoAni did a really good job with the Dragon Maid movie. I think it was also probably the only arc you could actually do for... oh, there's an Lulu 10. Pristine 10 at least. It's when she's fighting Toru. But I think it's probably the only arc in Dragon Maid that you could actually, like, use in that manner, so to speak. You know, trying to make it kind of family-friendly and not full of fan service and everything. And you gotta admit, they really toned down the characters in that movie. And I get it. You don't want the thing to get banned in China. Or to somebody be like, oh, let's go watch the cute animated thing. And, bring their 5-year-old in. And you've got, melons everywhere. I get it. But at the same time, it's kind of disappointing. And I get that argument, and I make that argument for them. Go watch the Konosuba movie. and tell me they couldn't put a little bit more fan service into the Dragon Maid movie. And that's why I like Konosuba better than Dragon Maid. I know I have a lot of Dragon Maid cards, and I show Dragon Maid a lot on this channel. It sells well because the character designs are very popular. But if I had to choose a number 1, Konosuba wins. And that's because Konosuba is unafraid. So let's see here. We're going to be getting into something a little bit different now, and I'm going to try to show as much of these as I can. But they're going to be... I don't even know, like, physically how these look. Oh, this is interesting. This is raw... Oh, this is really interesting. Okay, so this is raw books inside, and it's like this weird folded thing. And we'll see how they handled my oversized cards and my jumbo cards. I did peek at the grades for these as well, so I wasn't like heartbroken and everything. There's some winners in here, and there's some unfortunates in here. I guess that's how everything kind of goes. Oh, these are so strange. Oh, that's so weird. Okay. Oh, that is so weird. So the as far as the packaging is concerned, it kind of came in this box here, and they're just kind of in here. They're actually... Wow, that's so weird. Okay, hold on. I'll show you. I'll try to anyway. So we're gonna start off here. This is I've Been Killing Slimes for 300 Years. This is Leica. So this is what they call a manga bonus card. And a manga bonus card is essentially when a new volume of a manga comes out, they include a bonus card either in shrink wrap or as like a purchase bonus from things like Melon Books or Animate or something else. And these are very rare in the West. I'm just going to throw that out there right now. These things go for $50 or $60 raw on eBay or English American Mercari or a lot of those other marketplaces. I've got about 50 of these. And looking at it right now, I don't know if I'm going to show you all of them because I don't know if I can effectively show you all of them. These are definitely going to go up on my eBay page if you're interested, or a lot of them are. Let me kind of give you a bit of an overview here. So I thought that these were like a full-on... How do I explain? I thought that these were like a full-on slab. They really aren't. They're almost like this protective film case that they then clearly sonic weld together and put together. And they do give you the full information like they would on a standard jumbo card, but for comparison's sake, look at the size of this sucker and look at the size of this sucker, and it's really, I mean, the card itself is bigger than the whole slab. So these are really rather interesting. I don't know. Wow. So this is just like a piece of cardboard that they send out. And yeah, this is kind of the slab. I mean, it's not, I wouldn't call it, it's not flimsy, but it is flexible. Like if I press in on it, it will flex a little bit. It's kind of like, I would describe it as like almost like a thicker top loader kind of thing with a grade on it. Really fascinating, actually. I've never held one of these. May have seen them for sale at some point, but I didn't realize that this is what they were. Let's see here. I don't really want to unbox. I'm at the point now. We're almost 30 minutes in. I don't really want to unbox the whole thing. I don't know if that's conducive for you guys, but I mean, I've got like Elma here. This is a manga. This is actually, this is the Kyoto animation. This was all the way back in 2021. This is when they did the postcard set. So we've got fashionable Elma there. This is for those of you who are kind of a fan of the certain we'll call them orbs. This is just a standard Melon Books bonus card. This didn't even come with like a particular volume, I don't think. This is just like a purchase bonus. Oh, it actually says here, Kumamoto store opening. Follow and repost campaign. So somebody actually had to participate in this for a Japanese store opening to get one of these. I can't imagine. This is going to sound even weirder. I sent these off via Quick Submit. And I sent these off via Quick Submit because it's faster to do it that way. And I didn't know what a lot of these things were. I bought them. They looked good. Right? But I sent them off via Quick Submit. And for those of you who don't know, CGC Quick Submit is essentially a service where you dump everything in a box, you tell them the quantity, you tell them the insurance information, and they figure it out. And I was like, man, it's possible all of these come back, or they say none of these are, we don't know what these are, we're not going to grade these, get lost. And I would have been like, fair. I think they graded 52 out of 53 of them. And one of them, I don't know why. And one of them, I've got kind of an interesting, I guess, side story about it, but I don't have it here. So what they essentially did was they created an entirely new category on CGC website for my submission. Like if you go onto the pop report for some of these and you look up this cert number, they essentially live in a completely different category than anything else. So I might be the first person to be dumb enough to do this. Oh boy, this is interesting. Now this says, oh, this must have been like the first or the last one that they did. This has like my order number on it, so maybe I'll take this one out. But this is probably the best card in the submission right here, at least for me. This is gonna stick in my personal collection for sure. Look at this. Pristine 10. Toru and a Lulu. 2019. That's 7 years ago now, by the way. Volume 8 purchase bonus. And Pristine 10. Now, for those of you who don't know much about card grading in general, the bigger the card gets, the harder it is to grade. There's more surface area to get scratched. There's more edge area to be, experience whitening. It's more likely that there's a longer cut, it's more likely to be off center, it's more likely to be damaged. The fact that this came back pristine 10 is a miracle. And there are some 10s, there are a number of 10s in here, but they are not, they're kind of more few and far between than a standard submission. I would argue that anything above like a 7 is probably darn good, considering these are quite literally, you know, sitting in a stack somewhere or are attached to a book or something else. Let's see, what else do we have in this first one? Oh, we've got the, here's the Kaukini edition that they did. Here's Toru in an 8.5. And then there is like Kana and her little cow outfit. Oh, here's this is kind of interesting. I sent a few of these off. This is Hana Uzaki from Uzaki-chan. She gets a 9. And boy, another Hana Uzaki. Another Hana Uzaki. Yeah, this is kind of like the Uzaki one here. And I mean, I gotta admit, I think a 9's a good grade in these. Again, you see these are not for sale. You can't buy these. These are often drawn by the artists themselves, or they're drawn by, you know, it's like a limited piece of art for a sale bonus or something like that. It's definitely a limited release. So, I'm thrilled that CGC actually went ahead and graded it. I'm glad that I can show it off to you guys, and I hope you're interested, because like I said, a lot of these will go up on eBay. And we'll see how that goes. How many more is in this box? Alright, well, I've got a couple more boxes of those, but I'm going to be honest, I'm going to save them for eBay. Like I said, I've also the Divine Cross cards that I couldn't show you guys. Those are on eBay as well. Maybe not by the time this goes up. Maybe by the time this goes up. We'll see. As far as future video goes, it's going to be as I feel like it. You know, I'm not going to, you know, push myself to do it every time I get a submission back. But if there is something that you guys are interested in, you want me to talk about, or if you have a question, you know, leave a comment, let me know. I'll try to get to it in a future video or just respond to you in the moment. I thank you guys very much for watching, and I will catch you next time. Later.